When I first talked to people in my life about my dream of switching to women's physique and also getting as big as the pros, it almost felt like coming out in a weird way. The reactions certainly spoke for themselves. Hello again, my sexy crew members, newcomers, but most importantly, OGs. Thank you guys for turning up to another video with me. I'm your host, Lucy, aka Lucifer, and I'm a formerly obese girl turned bodybuilder. In this video, I want to talk about whether or not it would be okay to promote bodybuilding and whether or not it should be promoted to women. Some people say it shouldn't, but I very much disagree. Some people also say bodybuilding in itself is a mental illness. But personally, if there is anything that has drastically improved my mental health, it's bodybuilding. But before I start yapping, do me a little favor. Hit that subscribe button. The benefit to doing that is that you get to join our amazing crew. We may not be that many yet, but quality over quantity, right? Anyway, without further ado, let me tell you why I think that bodybuilding should totally be advertised to the masses. Bodybuilding is, in a sense, constantly being advertised already, just by the influencers engaging in the sport and putting their physiques and the process it takes to get the physique so much on display on social media. Most people know bodybuilding from the glitz and glamour of the stage you see online, from the icons of the sport whose posters are plastered all across the gyms of the world, or even from movies and magazines. What you see there, however, is only a small section of what bodybuilding is or what it can be. Modern day bodybuilding almost has a bad reputation for its association with drug use and the extremes the athletes at the very top push themselves to. Bodybuilding has changed a lot over the years, and with the ever-increasing standards of size and definition, coupled with the constantly expanding array of available enhancements, has made the sport today unrecognizable from what it was decades ago. We now see huge, round, dense, and full muscles with insane definition, making the people on stage look truly superhuman. Something right out of an anime. Or maybe a balloon animal. While personally, I really enjoy the balloon animal look, this has received criticism. Nothing new necessarily, just the same criticism bodybuilding has always received ever since PEDs became part of the discussion. I came across a reel on Instagram the other day that really hit the nail on the head in that regard.
Bodybuilding is the only extreme sport where you'll get hate and criticism for being extreme. Like, it's insane. Like, the whole reason for bodybuilding is to be extreme, get big as possible, get as shredded as possible. Any other sport, like, imagine telling the guy who like climbs mountains with no ropes or nothing like that, like, whoa, buddy, slow down, don't climb that high. It's dangerous up there. That doesn't happen. Like, bro, climb higher. That's fucking sick. Or like, imagine telling a NASCAR driver, like, whoa, slow down on them turns, brother. You can crash and die. They don't say that. They say, bro, go faster. Let's see if we can make the cars go faster. It's funny. There's like a clip that's super famous about an F1 racer. And he's like, oh, I knew the dude would slow down because he had a wife and kids at home. I don't. So I don't give a. And it's like praised because he's that extreme. It's like, that's crazy. But in bodybuilding, it's like, you do a little bit of an extra test. It's like, you're going to die. It's like, bro, it's an extreme sport. It's meant to be f***ing extreme.
Bodybuilding really seems to be the only extreme sport where people get criticized for doing very extreme things that put their health at risk. In the case of bodybuilding, I guess you won't make an Olympia-worthy omelette without breaking some eggs. You just have to decide if the omelette really is that important to you. I'm the first person to acknowledge that taking PEDs is never healthy. That being said, I think that enhancing yourself is a valid choice. And I think we need to be able to discuss this openly and publicly so people who do decide to take that path can do so in the most informed and healthiest and safest way possible. You can get from A to B with as little impact to your organs as possible, Or you can get from A to B with a heart the size of a melon and a big bubble gut that you then get to enjoy for the rest of your now significantly shortened life. I think enhanced bodybuilding could be advertised in a sense, but only with a huge warning label. This is only something for adults that have thought long and hard about whether or not this is something they truly want to pursue. Kind of the same way you have warning labels on cigarettes, I guess. I would absolutely love to see more women getting into the sport, especially the bigger categories, because participation has really been lacking these days. I will shout from the rooftops how much I love chasing extreme size and how good I feel doing it. I will tell everyone willing to listen how damn badass and cool this is. I love this sport and I want to share that with the world, and I guess by extension promote it. But I don't want to necessarily do that in a way to convince people. Quite the opposite. I want to discourage people from doing something they would regret if it's not for them. But obviously, I would love to attract people to the sport for whom this is the right path. The thing is, if you actually have to be convinced to get into something so serious and life-altering, then maybe you shouldn't do it. But I made a whole other video on this, so I'm not going to waste too much time on that here. Like that guy touched on in the reel, other extreme sports also severely increase your risk of injury or unaliving, and yet they do get promoted and encouraged, even to children. Think of skating. That on the highest level is exceptionally dangerous. But the type of skating people get their children into isn't exactly the type of skating that happens on the X Games. And that's where I want to circle back to bodybuilding. And I know this isn't super comparable because obviously skating doesn't alter your hormone levels, but where I'm going with this, it'll make sense. There is a whole world outside of competitive enhanced bodybuilding. A lot of people don't even know that there are different federations and that there are federations for natural bodybuilders specifically. Bodybuilding isn't even all about competing. It's a lifestyle. It's something you do. In a similar way, you can skateboard without ever competing. It doesn't make you any less of a skateboarder just because you never competed. Even for the bodybuilders that do compete, stepping on stage and prep only make up a very small portion of the bodybuilding experience. I think the general public should be more aware that bodybuilding isn't all about PEDs and that they're not some mandatory integral part of the sport. I feel like the spirit of bodybuilding is kind of lost if you look at it from that angle, that it's all about PEDs. Bodybuilding is so much more than that. Believe it or not, the pursuit of health used to be part of bodybuilding. Think of the name. Bodybuilding. You're building a body. The idea is to build the most impressive physique you can. Back in the day, that also encompassed being healthy and capable. These weren't just physiques that were beautiful to look at, but genuinely strong and capable athletes. To me, that is still bodybuilding. Even now, that is probably the most common type of bodybuilding people do. And yet, for some reason, some people are very hesitant to call themselves that, even though they clearly are. They are bodybuilders. I was bodybuilding before I ever got near any PEDs, and I enjoyed it as much then as I am now. And I think it's not fair to reduce bodybuilding to PED use. I think most people could benefit from a bit of bodybuilding in their life. And I think bodybuilding should totally be promoted. Bodybuilding in itself, that is. Not to sell tickets to a show, but to promote the bodybuilding lifestyle. Physical self-improvement. Promote it to your child, to your grandma, to your pets, if you will. The thing is, no one has any money to make from just promoting actual real bodybuilding on its own, except maybe gyms. It doesn't need supplements, it doesn't need a registration fee, and it doesn't need an expensive coach. Although certainly that can be very beneficial. All bodybuilding takes is interest, discipline, and maybe an internet connection to look stuff up online, which if you're watching this video right now, you clearly have. So Why have you not started bodybuilding yet? Let me promote it to you right now. Come bodybuilding. We have big muscles, big cheat meals, and a lot of fun. You won't regret it. Some people say in general that bodybuilding is a bad idea. The pursuit of beauty and aesthetics over athletic ability. That it's not a worthy pursuit. I couldn't disagree more. Beauty in itself has been a worthy endeavor for all of history. At the end of the day, that's what we're doing here. We're creating art. We're sculpting our bodies into living statues. That is a passion as worthy as any other in my eyes. Coming back to enhanced bodybuilding though, I don't think it's wrong to have that be promoted or highlighted to adults who are in the industry, who have the fire in them to potentially pursue this sport at the highest level. You may notice that I keep saying adults specifically, and that is because unfortunately there is a trend of PEDs and peptides being promoted online to a very young audience, and that is not okay. Low-key selling schmugs to children just because it's not specifically illegal is absolute crazy work. Recently, I saw something online about one of those clinics having sold peptides that had lead in them. Imagine that, shooting up lead. No thanks. I hope that's not true, but I also would not at all be surprised. Now, regarding the women, there is a huge stigma to fight when it comes to female bodybuilding. There could be women out there who absolutely love to be on stage with the big girls, but choose not to because of naysayers and people judging that activity for women so severely, especially compared to men. It is just not as socially acceptable, and that is something I want to rally against. I want to encourage women to not give up on their dreams just because of what other people may think. When I first talked to people in my life about my dream of switching to women's physique and also getting as big as the pros, it almost felt like coming out in a weird way. The reactions certainly spoke for themselves, and I could kind of foresee that. I sit there with a friend in the metro, and I was like, I wanted to show her pictures of women I found absolutely beautiful, and I want to look like them. But I also knew that that is not the most traditional physique for women, obviously. So I felt this kind of like, almost like a knot in my throat, because I'm like, it's just gonna be, again, that's too much, but why would you want to look like that, and so on, or just other comments. And it's just sad. I mean, obviously people can have their preference with not, and they should be allowed to be vocal about that, but just generally speaking, it's just not as socially acceptable as it would be for a man, and that's sad. And I want to encourage women to really go after what makes them happy and be the version of themselves that they want to be and that they feel best at, regardless of what anyone else thinks. I may be completely wrong, but I feel like a man informing people around him that he wants to switch to a bigger category would probably result in more comments of the hell yeah variety, opposed to people being overly critical. I do think that maybe my passionate ramblings about the sport could serve as a promotion for women's bodybuilding, and therefore attract women to the sport that are into the lifestyle and do want to build mass. So should I feel bad for inadvertently promoting something by sharing my love and excitement for that thing with the world? We actually could really use some more participation, especially here in Europe. The bar is hanging a bit low, more so on a local level, but still. There needs to be some new blood so we can give people a proper show. But how about you? Are you a natural bodybuilder? Have you stepped on stage yet? Do you think that bodybuilding is too much of a potentially dangerous practice to be promoted? Or do you even think that bodybuilding is just a terrible idea in general? Let me know in the comments below. For now, this rambling session shall come to an end again. Thank you for being here. If you enjoyed this video, do hit the subscribe button and join our prestigious crew so you don't miss the next one. But for now, I gonna love you and leave you, and I bid you farewell. Bye. Putting their physique, what am I saying? And the extremes, the athletes of the and the extremes, the athletes as the at the very top, while the outright beefy that bodybuilding has always, bodybuilding has always, oh, why is this so hard to say? That put their health as great. Don't worry, I won't waste too much. Fuck. Also severely increase your risk of injury. Back in the day, that also. So should I feel bad for Have you stepped on state yet? State.